Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we are ready to guide you through the wild and wonderful world of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a baby kinkster, a seasoned pro, or just here for the entertainment, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us as we share our own wild, sometimes awkward, but always entertaining experiences and spill the tea from our combined 30-plus years in the private and professional kink worlds.
So grab your favorite flogger or wand.
Thank you.
And buckle up. You'll learn, you'll laugh, and who knows, you might just spit out your coffee.
Let's get this kinky party started.
Want more Pink Kink in your life? Join our Patreon and get ready for a whole lot of kinky fun and exclusive perks.
As a patron, you'll unlock access to our private Discord server where you can connect with fellow kinksters and chat directly with us. You'll also score adorable Pink Kink stickers and enjoy a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast packed with juicy tidbits we don't share anywhere else. Plus, get sweet discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and on our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
But wait, there's more.
More?
Our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get extras, such as bonus content and free digital downloads. Oh, and let's not forget, the Pink Standard of patrons will be recognized as producers on both the podcast and on our website, because we couldn't do this without you.
Pink Kink runs on the love and support of our amazing patrons, so join the party today. Visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click on the link on pinkkinkpodcast.com.
We've got something super exciting to share. Pink Kink has a brand new affiliate, and honestly, I gotta tell you, I'm a little obsessed with it. It's called the Love Blanket. And yes, I have actually tried it, and it really does what it promises. You see, this blanket is soft and cozy, but the magic is that it is waterproof. No more stressing about those wet spots, the lube spills, or anything else that comes with a really good time. You get to just play, cuddle, and then toss it in the wash afterward. Done. And because they love the Pink Kink family, you get a perk. If you use the code PINKKINK at checkout, you will get 10% off of your order. Trust us, once you try it, you'll wonder how you ever played without it. Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Brianna Lynn, Daddy J, Claire, Naughty and Nice, Butte Pain, Manda Panda, Kat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Christopher, Brian, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, AK Harley Chick, Serenity, Belle, Eric, Pumpkin Pie, S'more, Hacksaw, Devoted Knight, 3 a.m. Thoughts, Crash Override.
Spiper No Spiping. Barbie, Navigator Bard, Mr. Pillsbury, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Baby Squirrel, Lady in Lex, Chaos Monster, Jessa Lady, Jack, Ophelia, Lady to Kitten, Cydia Lemon, Ben, Noir, Freddie Queen, Princess Ree, Mississif, Elysium Rose, Avalia, Nora Morapora, Brix, Mistress Lycia, Wonder Chris, Chessie, Manders, and Swinging Amish.
Goodness, Dora's starting off with this huge yawn.
I actually cracked my jaw a little bit on that one.
It hurt. It hurt me watching. It was so big.
Oh, did you hear it?
As big as not better.
No, that actually really hurt. Okay.
Well,
I'm unhinging my jaw like a snake here.
Well, I think I might be able to wake you up with this episode because I'm anticipating some ranting in your future.
Oh boy. Why do you do this to me?
I didn't mean to do it to you. This was, like how we keep joking, every day I'm kerfuffling. I was kerfuffling.
Yep.
And usually when I kerfuffle, it does tend to also, you let me do all the public kerfuffling, but then when we talk and I tell you what's going on, you start ranting too. So,
Which is also kind of public when you think about it.
Well, you do it in our Discord server. So our patrons get to hear all that, which if you're interested in hearing Dar rant and rave like this, you can join our Patreon server as a member. You can join for as little as $2 a month. We have different tiers that give you a lot of different options of your perks, but all levels get to join the Discord server. And yeah, you do get to hear Dara go, "What the fuck?" and lots of different stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Almost weekly because Rara keeps doing shit.
I don't mean to kerfuffle.
Yes, you do.
I don't find the kerfuffle life. The kerfuffle life finds me.
Okay, we need to get you that as like a bumper sticker.
It's not my fault that idiots put out idiotic things and it comes across my FYP and I feel the need to respond.
You feel the need?
That's not my fault. It started.
Okay. Feeling the need is not your fault, clearly. Actually acting on that need is probably your fault, though.
Look, I'm very protective of this lifestyle and the people who are involved in it. And I really want to make sure that nobody gets taken in by assholes who not only put out information that is completely, totally wrong, but then try to sell you shit like the old medicine man, where it's just smoke and mirrors, but not actually anything of quality. I actually, when I started kerfuffling with this person on TikTok, I had somebody reach out to me privately and actually use the term grifter in relation to the person who inspired this episode.
Jesus.
So yeah. But let's go back in time because I can't do the time. I can't do the effects.
I'm not fixing that. I'm leaving that in.
Look, it is your job to put in the sound effects. I'm just trying my best here.
Nope. That is the sound effect we are using. That was amazing.
I try. So I have been, I wouldn't say following because I didn't want to actually give him a follow, but I've been keeping track of this particular person on TikTok because they claim they're a dominant and they were selling training, specifically submissive training, which was already a humongous red flag to me. As is unfortunately the case in TikTok more than any other social media that I'm at. He's a good-looking man, and the kinksters are flocking to him. Oddly enough, mostly women. Or I'm assuming they're mostly women based upon the way they comment and talk and the things that they're saying. So they're following him. Oh, wow. I wish they're fantastic. Yeah, this and that. And so I watched to kind of really honestly get ideas for episodes like this. That was my initial thing. But then he made the TikTok where somebody said to him, "Can doms be brats?" And he went,
this guy. Okay.
He went into this whole thing about, no, they can't be. And as a bratty dom, I really took offense to that. So I made a comment about, no, that's actually not true, and explained it. Was I rude? No. I was just direct and saying, you're wrong. I don't even think I used the words wrong. I think I just said something like, that's not true. Doms can absolutely be brats, and explain all that. And somehow his response to that was so fucking over the top. Like, trust me, this is not my first rodeo on this. I have called people out for what I felt was misinformation before and gone back and forth. This guy went from 0 to 60 in one comment where he basically called me out, was incredibly rude, told me that if I disagreed with him, I could do it on my own page, that this was his page, and if I didn't like it, I could get out of there. It's like, whoa. And then soon thereafter blocked me, which was red flag number 3, because being rude was red flag number 2, and blocking me is number 3, because if you're not willing to have the conversation, I've been called out by people before. I mean, they've been wrong, but I've been called out for people before, and I've never blocked them. In fact, the only people I traditionally block on my pages are either A, people who are MAGA. Sorry. I mostly because I don't want you to come up on my For You page. B, people who concern me that they might report me for putting out the content that I put out, and I don't want to risk any more violations. Or 3, people who are threatening, right? Like things like you should be raped, or you should hang yourself.
They say that?
I've had that happen. Yeah. Mostly on FET, but yeah. So those are really the only people I ever block. people. So that's where it started. Then other people, because I shared it in the Discord server, other people came on to his comments and also were basically like, no, Rara was right, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. Where he proceeded to start blocking every single person, for the most part, who called him out and said I was right. Then by the time this was all done, and what he doesn't realize, and I highly suggest this to anybody who's on social media, you need a secret account. Because how else do you spy on people if you don't have a secret account that nobody knows about? So I kept checking to see what he was going to do. And then he came out with an episode, with a post about how he's not an educator, except he's a coach. And I failed to see how you can call yourself a coach but claim you're not an educator. I don't see the difference, personally. Part of coaching is educating. And part of educating is coaching. So I don't understand how you claim to be one but not the other. And then you're selling packages, your coaching packages. And again, how do you not call yourself an educator? Education. So he tried to do the old, there's no, all these people who call themselves educators, but there's no certification to make you officially an educator. And so that's why he's a coach. I mean, he's right. There is no official certification to be an educator. And there are people who do use the title educator who shouldn't. But Dara and I both have an education background. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things I used to do in my many previous jobs is I wrote and taught corporate training programs to adults. So I guess I could technically say I was a corporate trainer and not use the term educator, but that's stupid. I was educating people. And I'll confess, I was educating them on how to be telemarketers. So sorry. We were the ones that called you.
That's your fault.
I can't help it. People have to earn a living, okay?
And I currently do training in my job right now. So that's literally one of my parts of my job is to train the incoming people. And so I guess I could also be a trainer or a facilitator, but I've got a fucking license and an actual certification to train these people. So.
Yeah. So I decided to go down this rabbit hole of this particular person, and I checked them out on other social media sites that they're on. And I don't really see a whole lot that gives me any hope that they know what the fuck they're talking about. But if you go onto like their TikTok and then go to their Linktree or whatever they're using, they have these lovely submissive coaching packages where they have one-on-one coaching, or you can buy a certain number of hours or whatever it is. And it ain't cheap. Like, we're talking several $100s for this shit.
I wonder how many people actually pay for that.
I'm sure he must get some, or he wouldn't keep doing it. But it really inspired me to talk about the problem with dominant-led submissive training. And it's kind of twofold. It's the fact of, do these people actually know what the fuck they're talking about? As well as, should dominance do this? Right? Now, this is, I know I talk about this one particular person, but this episode really isn't going to be about just this one person. It's really about a pattern that I find keeps showing up in kink spaces, where I do see a lot of people selling these coaching services that they shouldn't be. Now, I'm going to give a couple caveats here, because there are people who do this that I haven't actually purchased any of their stuff, so I can't say firsthand, but I've worked with them and I know that they've got the background to be able to teach. They understand that what works for one person doesn't work for another person. And like, for instance, Dom Subliving, right? I've worked with them. They totally get that there's a lot of different viewpoints, which is why they bring a ton of us educators in for their virtual summit or the Kink bundle, so that multiple viewpoints can be sold with the, because they understand they don't have expertise in every area. And they're a DS couple. So when they're talking, they've got both the D and the S perspective. You've got the kink consultant who also offers these services. She's a switch. So she's got both sides that she can talk about. So when I talk about these, for lack of a better term, really predators, that's not who I'm talking about. So don't get confused with that. This is also why we harp on the fact that you need to vet your educators. And yes, coaches are educators. So fucking vet these people. And anybody who's got any ethics would be like, go ahead, absolutely vet me. I'm not worried. You can do this. But if they come back and you ask for like references or vetting or different stuff and they kind of hem and haw, that's your red flag to run away from this. So I kind of want you to start with asking yourself, when you hear the phrase submissive training, what kind of picture pops into your head? So like for you, Dar, when you hear the term submissive training, what do you imagine?
Protocols and stuff. And like what I used to do was saying, okay, so here's what we're going to do. I have these numbers that I have assigned to certain positions. We're going to go through them. I'm going to randomly test you on it. That's what I used to do, way back with my original dominatrix days with my first sub. Yeah. So that's kind of how I still picture it.
Right. Maybe some people think of like a boot camp or, something they've read in a romance novel, because you hear it in a romance novel a lot. I'm going to train you. But then you have to also ask yourself, so most importantly, who is benefiting from this training? Is it you, the submissive who's purchased it? Or is it, the so-called dominant who sold it to you and is pocketing the money? And to understand the harm that these kind of things create, we really need to start with what people actually mean when they say training and why the idea of training is so fucking appealing, especially to folks who are brand new to the lifestyle. So let's start off with actually defining the term submissive training, right? Because there's different levels. There's the community version of it, there's the fiction version of it, and then there's the reality. For me, the community version of it is when submissives get together and they brainstorm and they help each other out. I know that there's like some munches that are submissive only munches. So you can sit and talk about what's going on in your life and get advice. There's submissive only Discord servers or other chat groups where, again, you have access to that. A lot of the Discord servers that I'm in, I know we certainly have it in our Discord server, is specific breakout channels that are for submissives only.
You have to choose your role when you first get into the server, and then that lets you get into certain servers certain parts of the server that are more private.
Right. And that's done because submissives want to have a safe space where they can talk and get advice from other submissives, and they don't want to hear it from the dominants. And I love that. That's perfect. Then you have the fictional version, which is, what you're getting in books, where maybe there's a whole submissive training camp, right? Like I've read that, where I've read books where that you go to a submissive like training camp and they have doms there who lead classes and do different things. And when you graduate, then you are prepared to go out and find yourself a dom and all of that. And then there's, listen, it's fun. It's great reading. And then you have the reality, basically what Dara's talking about, which she did with her submissives. And I'm putting that emphasis on that. Her submissives.
It was just me and whoever I was working with at the time, or whoever my partner was.
Right. And then if we break this down further, there's like two models. There's the collaborative, negotiated model of training, which is a much healthier version, where you sit down and you talk about what it is you want to learn, what you need, and then you negotiate how that training is going to happen. And nothing is going to happen that you haven't agreed to. And then you have and I'm making assumptions about what this particular guy is selling, because obviously I'm not paying money to buy and try. I got much better uses of my time and money. But a dominant-led, imposed model where he tells you what you need as a submissive, what you should be doing, and not taking into account your wants, your needs, your boundaries, your limits, which is obviously a really unhealthy situation here. Now, why do so many new submissives like this idea, this concept of training? Well, let's face it, you come into this lifestyle and you really want to be the best possible submissive you can be. And you think to yourself, how can I do that? What do I need to do? What do I need to learn? What do I need to know to be the best possible submissive? Well, taking training, being coached by a dominant who knows what they're doing. Sounds appealing. I get it. I understand the appeal of that and why you would want that. And you get this belief that if I'm just trained right, if I just know how to be the right kind of submissive, it will help me find the right dominant. Or any dominant. It will help me find a dominant. They're looking for submissives who know what they're doing and can be good submissives. Or as we often hear, and we have done episodes on this, quote unquote, true submissives. Right? And that they really hope that if they can just be molded into the perfect submissive, life will be good. But the problem with this is it really creates very vulnerable people who are just the perfect targets for those grifters and predators, right? Because this mindset makes the submissive such an easy target. Like you might as well just paint a bullseye on your chest. And predators, and predators really exploit the eagerness by offering these training programs. And they position themselves as gatekeepers to being legitimate. Take my class. I will train you the right way. I will train you to be the right kind of submissive. I will train you to be a quote unquote true submissive. And then once you are trained in all of this, you will be able to find the perfect dom. I get it, right? I've talked to a lot of people who are new, and they really think that if they could just be trained, it would make them worthy of a dominant. And it concerned me so much that eagerness left them open to the wrong kind of person. Or I'll talk to them after they've unfortunately met the wrong kind of dominant because they had this mindset. And these people are hurt. These submissives are really hurt and their trust has been abused and it's awful. And beware of the dominant who says, I will mentor you, because it's just another word for this bullshit. I will mentor you and teach you how to do all this and help you. And that's another code word that you need to be aware of.
But there's a huge difference between that and somebody coming up to you and saying, hey, will you mentor me in this?
Exactly.
Word, much different way of using it.
Right? You're an expert in electro, mentor me in that. You're an expert in needles, mentor me in that. I mean, and it's also very different than one submissive going to another submissive and say, hey, would you be my mentor and help teach me? And the same thing with dominance.
Right.
We've talked about this. We did an entire episode about it with Moxie Minion about mentorship and that subs should mentor subs and doms should mentor doms. And this is why, because of the risks involved. Right? Like, stop and ask yourself, have you ever been in the position where you thought that if you just got trained, it would really guarantee that you'd find a dominant, right? Or if you are in a DS dynamic and the dom is talking to you about training you, does that training feel like empowerment or does it feel more like dependency? And, that's concerning. Dar and I have both been in DS breakups. And they suck and they're hard. And if you've become too dependent upon your dominant, right? Like then it's just going to suck that much more.
Yeah, no, it's actually horrible on both sides. I've been the sub and broken up and I've been the dom and broken up. And breakups suck in general, but certain aspects of it really get to you a lot more, I think.
Yeah. And granted, it's been a couple of years since I was brand new. And I had the added advantage of being already middle-aged by the time I started. But I still remember being that vulnerability and the hope of being that perfect submissive, which I was never going to reach because, let's face it, I was cosplaying, but I didn't know that at the time. But the hope of being made into the perfect submissive. And that is what predators look for. And I'll tell you, that's what happened with Voldemort. He was a predator and he loved the idea. Like, yes, was I outside his normal age range? Yes, but I was brand new. So that put me back into his eyesight.
Kink wise, you were the specific thing that he looks for. It's not necessarily age. It's more like kink level, I guess we could call it.
But what he mistaken was because I was not young. I was much more confident in standing up to him and I was less vulnerable. Because I was an established fucking adult at that point and had been for a long time.
On him. And he has never gone for a full-fledged adult again, so.
Yeah, I fixed that for him. But you've also got the dominants who see that and justify selling coaching programs that really do more harm than good. So let's talk about these quote-unquote coaching programs for submissives that are really led by dominants. What exactly are the problems with them? Well, from what I've seen, and this is not 100% of the time, there may very well be good ones out there that are specifically dom-led, but I'd be much more comfortable in sending you to somebody who has the submissive mindset and can therefore work with you on that. I see a lack of negotiation. There's really no agency for the submissive because the dominant is telling you, this is what you need to do. This is part of the training. And what the sub needs is ignored in favor of what the dominant's agenda is. And the minute you start ignoring the submissives as an individual, then that's what really, really concerns me. Because not every dominant is the same. Hell, look at Dara and I as an example. You guys, for our regular listeners, you know, if this is your first time with us, go back and listen. Dara and I are not only completely different in what we want, need, and like, but the way we dominate is completely different. And what we would want from a submissive is completely different. So how another dominant is going to train a submissive, it makes no sense, because are they training them for what Dara likes or are they training them for what I like?
No, every dominant is like, if you do training, it's going to be dom specific training. If you want to go that route and actually call it training, like that's totally fine. But you're not going to get one dominant that can prepare you for every other dominant in the whole world that you could ever possibly meet or have a relationship with. It's not fucking possible.
Yeah. The next problem is a lot of what they're teaching is misinformation, but they sound so smart and authoritative when they teach it to you that you believe what they're saying. I mean, you're new. How the hell do you know that what they're telling you is wrong? Especially, right? When you say when you say shit with enough confidence, people believe you.
People do it all the time. Look at the majority of people that end up in politics.
Right? And especially in this guy's case, it's coaching without any accountability. If you are educating and coaching, you have to be okay with being called out on stuff and being told you're wrong. Again, I'll give you a prime example. The way that I learned CNC when I first started was that it had no safe word. And I was very confident in that because that's what I had learned. And guess what? I got called out on it and was said, no, you're wrong. That's not actually the case. They might not use the word no, but there has to be a safe word to bring it to a halt. And we sat and discussed it. And I went, you're right. What I believed, what I was saying was wrong. And you've got to be able to do that. You've got to be able to be called out, handle it with grace, and learn from it.
Hey, when that happened, did you happen to look out the window and see a pig flying?
I heard oinks.
Did you check down south? Maybe hell froze over?
Yeah, no, that I didn't check for.
You know what's going to be really interesting? When Florida gets like frost, then it'll actually be like hell froze over.
It would be. Yes, in case you don't understand that joke, I'm not often wrong.
Well, no. The joke is she doesn't admit she's wrong, even when she is. So the fact that she actually said, hey, you're right, I'm wrong, that's wild.
I'm not often wrong. I'm going to stick with that. It's a Virgo thing. We tend not to speak up about shit unless we're pretty fucking confident. So it's not so much that we know everything. We just tend to be quiet when we're not 100% sure. So it just seems like we know everything because when we speak up, we're almost always right. Not 100%, but almost always because we feel confident. And I was very confident, and I had been educated wrong. And again, that happens. I believe the people who taught me. Now, whether or not they knowingly taught me wrong, or whether or not they also did not have the correct information, I don't know. But I still to this day have people argue with me. I had it happen. I think we discussed it on Threads. I had a kerfuffle then when somebody tried to tell me no safe words are necessary. Upon further discussion, what we realized is long-term relationships where they actually didn't need a safe word because they'd been together for so long, the Dom read the body language and knew when their submissive was unhappy, uncomfortable, and needed a break and could
in
stop
that case,
themselves.
I would say verbal safe words are no longer necessary, but physical safe words are still in evidence.
Well, and it's also, look, if you want to play with your partner without the use of safe words, it's not our place to tell you you can't. We can say we don't recommend it. We can give you the reasons why, but we can't tell you not to do it. You get to make those choices for yourself. Just understand there might be consequences from those choices. But as I said, if you've got somebody who is blocking critique instead of engaging in the discussion, that's concerning, right? As I said, when somebody said to me, hey, here's this criticism, even if maybe privately in my head, I'm going, what the actual fuck, who do they think they are? Because let's face it, we're human. And that might have been what was going on through my head. When I discuss it with them, that's not what I say to them. But you have to be willing to engage. And you also have to be willing to admit too, like, right? Dara's been doing this for over 20 years. I've been doing this for 10. Things have changed. The way things
I was
were
actually
done.
going to point that out earlier. A huge thing is it is so much different. The thought processes, the people that have come in, the new people, the younger people, older generations that have been doing this for as long as I have. And I am actually putting myself in the older generation category on this time because it was so different 20 years ago, all the things. And now, 20 years is a long time. It's not when you really think about it, but in like kink years, it's incredibly long time. So different. Society is different. The way we think about things are different. So you really do have to learn to roll with the punches.
Another problem is power without responsibility. We can joke, with great power comes great responsibility. But he was right. That is a good thing to live by. If you want to refuse...
Peter Parker's uncle.
Very
Peter Parker's
good.
uncle, Spider-Man. Yes.
Very good. Well done. Give yourself a pat on the back. If you've got somebody who's refusing to accept the title of educator, really stop for a minute. I see this happen a lot on TikTok. They don't want the title of educator because it feels, I guess, heavy and worrisome. But if you are actually educating, and by that, there's a big difference between coming on there and saying, oh my God, I was at the dungeon this weekend and this happened to me. I really wish I had done this different and I learned this. I agree. You might get away with saying I'm not an educator because you're just sharing a story of what happened to you. But when somebody asks you a question, can doms be brats? And you answer it, ding, 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 you've now crossed over into educator. May not be official, but that's what you're doing. You're educating. Versus I've shared a story of what happened at the dungeon and somebody says, well, what made you change your mind? Why did you used to believe this and now you believe that? And you share. I just think you're sharing stories. And then I would say, you're right. That's not an educator. But there's a difference. To me, might be subtle, but it's obvious. You don't get to enjoy the authority without owning the duty of teaching responsibly. You have to be extra careful with what you say and what you put out there if you have the mantle of educator. But you can't say, I don't want to deal with that responsibility, so I won't call myself an educator, and therefore I can do whatever the fuck I want. Because you want to be lazy or you will want to avoid having to be careful. That's not cool, right? Would you trust a driving coach who says, well, I'm not a teacher. I just like telling people how to drive.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, yay.
I'm going to be like, nah.
And then the harm to submissives is maybe there's guilt and shame for not being trainable because the stuff that they're so-called being taught goes against everything. Like this idea, in another server, somebody was asking a question. They're in a long distance dynamic. And they felt like they were the ones who were always initiating stuff with their dominant. I'm saying, hey, I'm free this day. Can we do this? Or I feel disconnected from you. I really need to do something so we can increase our connection. And they were worried they were topping from the bottom. And again, if you're a regular listener, you know how I feel about that particular phrase. We've done an entire episode where I ranted and raved the entire episode about that goddamn fucking phrase. And I said to her...
There's a few of those.
Yeah. I said to her, telling your dominant what you want and need is not topping from the bottom. End of story. And, right, so here they were not getting what they needed and feeling guilty about asking for it because, God forbid, they should be topping from the bottom. That happens so much. And I think it's because of this fucking training, type of training. You know, well, if you do this, this is topping from the bottom. It isn't. There's a dependency on the dom instead of actually growing as an individual. So think about, does this so-called training allow you to negotiate? Or is the whole point of it, I'm going to tell you what to do, you do it, you obey me? And is the growth really making you actually feel smaller? Instead of growing, are you feeling smaller? And then who does that serve when that happens? Right? And then this leads us to kind of the biggest red flag of them all. When dominants turn this idea into a business model, selling coaching services to submissives. So let's get into...
Which brings the episode back full circle.
I like circles. They're good. So beware of the dominant selling coaching for subs. It really... This is where my mama bear side really comes out because I've seen too many people hurt by this, losing money because of this. And I just... pisses me off. It is a huge red flag because submissive coaching should really come from peers or mentors or educators. And submissive training should not be, this is what you need to do to be a good submissive. You will never hear Dara and I talk like that. You will never hear those words come out of our mouth. When we talk about teaching submissives, we're going to teach you about how to set boundaries, how to communicate, how to negotiate, how to learn about yourself so that you can be a better submissive.
We have workbooks based on that.
We do. Right? It's all about empowerment through education. We are going to empower you to be the best submissive you could be. And it has nothing to do with following these rules that a dominant has set up. Because again, every dominant's going to have different rules. Dara likes a submissive who knows protocols and positions. I could fucking care less about that shit. It doesn't do it for me. What I care about is a submissive who can speak up because I can't read your mind. So I need you to communicate with me. So I'm going to teach you how to communicate. And communicate in a way that is effective to get what you want and doesn't piss me off. No, seriously. Like saying, Rara, that's stupid. That's going to piss me off.
I say it all the time.
Yeah, okay. Right, exactly. My point taken. But you're also not my submissive, so you get away with it.
With
God,
a lot.
could you imagine that? You as my submissive? That would be, what is that, World War III?
Jesus, God, the shit that would start because of that, because we would we would try to outbrat each other every fucking second, and
don't we already do that?
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you tried to tell me what to do, oppositional defiance would kick in, and I'd be like, bitch, no.
Yeah, I've learned that the hard way already.
Yeah.
When I try to be the podcast dom and tell Dara what to do, it doesn't work.
Well, in that case, I want you to be the podcast dom because I sure as fuck am not going to do it.
Right, but the difference is when I tell you what to do.
Yeah, but then you do it in a way that doesn't piss me off. So you've cracked the code.
I've learned.
You should teach classes on that, mainly to my mother.
Yeah, but your mother would have to be willing. And that's my concern.
Oh, dude, the other day so like at my work, this is literally the third time in 6 weeks that they have given us things that are so last minute to work on. And when I say last minute, I mean the turnaround time is like 2 days. And it's like, I'm sorry, the fuck do you want me to do in 2 days? What? I can't get all of that together. I can't do that. Are you insane? So like on the third one, I ended up having an absolute fucking meltdown at work. As in, my boss was checking on me 2 days later, asking me if I was okay because I'm
not okay.
Well, I went home and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, you won't believe what they're having us do now. And she's like, the fuck? Like, even my mom was like, yeah, that's too much. That's insane. And like, she doesn't even do my job. So this was crazy. And I was telling her, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they want us to do this, this, and this. And she goes, okay, she comes up with something. Can you do this instead? I was like, no. And then I was like, no, can't do that. All this other shit, can't do that. And she goes, okay, well, what about this? No. Like, stop telling me what to do. You don't know my job. Stop.
See, but I love that you're setting boundaries, right? Like, I know your mom's not listening, but you're setting the boundaries.
Oh, you're going to be so proud of me. I can't believe I forgot to mention this the other day. I was going to post this in the Discord and I completely forgot. So, like, I'm awake now. Look at this.
I told you you'd wake up.
I set a boundary with the coworker that always kind of annoys me.
Which one? Yes. For you.
Yeah, you know exactly which one. I said, hey, coworker, I love you, but you have got to stop coming and asking me work stuff when I'm on lunch.
Yay! Good for you.
I actually said it, and she hasn't come to see me during lunch since.
I love it. I love that you stood up for yourself, and I love that she apparently is listening. Now, the trick's going to be how long she listens for, but at least now she's listening.
Right, but even my other coworker was like, oh my God, do you know what Dara did? He didn't say Dara, but, you know, he goes, because he actually heard this exchange, and he goes, do you know what she did? She actually set a boundary with coworker. And I was like, yes, I did. And I did it so nicely.
I love that for you.
I'm so proud of myself. Now, if I plan on having a working lunch because, you know, shit later in the day is like schedule-wise not going to work out, that's fine. I am perfectly happy to do that. But when you come every day during the one time of day where I don't have a meeting or some project I'm working on, and I'm like trying to just fucking read my book and eat. All I want to do is read my book.
Yeah, and I'm going to set a boundary here. If Dara is reading, leave her the fuck alone. She's made it a goal to read more this year. She likes reading. She wants to read. Leave her the fuck alone when she's reading.
I am currently on book 45. There is nothing that can stop me now.
Ooh, and what's your goal for the year?
50. Well, 52 because 52 weeks in a year. So I made it 52.
All right, you got this. You got this.
What am I?
No, 52 is right.
56 cards in a deck.
Yeah. No.
Okay, that's where I was getting the 56 from. I'm confusing myself.
Yeah,
But yes.
no.
Woohoo!
All right. Good for you. But yeah, now I got to find my notes. That was a good story, though. But I got to find my notes.
I know. Right? I'm so proud of myself. All right, going back to sleep now. Bye.
That's fine. So these trainings are teaching the submissive the way the trainer wants things done, which would be fine if that was their submissive. Not so fine when you're selling it as a service and then sending the submissive off to find a dominant. Because now what happens? I get a submissive who actually I have to completely undo everything that they've learned. Because either A, it's wrong, or B, it's not what I want. And you've just wasted your time, energy, and more importantly, money on a useless training. And these particular people are really targeting the vulnerable. They're targeting submissives who are new and really come in with the best of intentions. They just want to get it right. They want to be the quote unquote right kind of submissive. They think in their head, if I'm going to be a true submissive, I need to know all this, which I'm telling you right now, throw that fucking word true out of your vocabulary.
Yes.
There's no such thing as a true submissive or a true dominant. Because again, it is so fucking customizable. What traits would you put under that are true? Right? Folks, it targets folks who maybe think that there's something wrong with them because, oh God, I don't want to be that kind of submissive, but I must be doing it wrong. So therefore I'm going to take this training and learn the right way to do it. Or they think I don't belong in this community, so I'm going to get myself trained so that I can belong and I know the right thing and I'm going to join it. And that makes my heart break. First of all, that any submissive would think that way. I hate that. But it isolates kinksters. And these kinksters have no community to keep them safe. They have nobody to tell them what you're learning isn't right, or you don't need to know that. I know a sub who paid for one of these coaching services because they were told that they weren't a real sub by somebody who they were in talks with to maybe be their submissive. And this quote unquote dominant, which is a whole nother issue, told them that they weren't a real sub. So they paid for this coaching service so they could learn. And all it ended up doing was making them ashamed because they were learning that this was what a submissive should be. And they're thinking, but I'm not like that. So maybe I'm not a submissive. Maybe I've been doing it wrong this whole time. And it breaks my heart. So, yeah. Some of the tactics that they use in these trainings, claiming to offer guidance, but then refuse to be corrected when they're told by others in the community that guidance is wrong. Blocking critics to preserve their authority. This particular guy on TikTok, he actually has a rule that judgment is not allowed. But the way he phrases it, like it sounds good, but what he really means is you can't judge him. And I don't mean judging him for his likes, right? Like we say that we're a judgment-free zone, except for Dara, who judges me on my blood play. And that's okay. She actually has consent to do that.
I judge you on pretty much everything.
She has consent to do that. Like I told you, like the younger little sister that I never knew I didn't want.
Wait a minute.
Similar to my actual younger sister, you are taller than me. It's the same thing. And she judges me too. She judges me too. When I told her originally, when I started this lifestyle, when I told her I was doing daddy baby girl, she was actually less bothered by the things I was doing, but then by the fact that I was calling my partner daddy. That icked her out. It was really funny. I'm like, that of everything I've told you I do, that's what got you.
Yeah. Yeah, I can. A lot of people get freaked out about that one. I actually had a really hard time with that word until Daddy Jack.
And then it just comes naturally, right? At this point.
Yeah, now I can't stop.
I can't stop calling him daddy. You'll have to make thing like, the Family Guy thing when he goes, mommy. Mommy. You'll have to do something similar with daddy.
Daddy.
God. Okay, you need to do that and record that and his reaction.
You know what's funny though? I already do that. But I do it. I gotta send you screenshots of this sometime. I do it in text.
Even better.
Every time I want attention, there's like a slew of all these GIFs. If you type out daddy, and there's one that's like Tinkerbell throwing a tantrum, and like it's actually pretty funny. I gotta find this for you. But I do. And he goes, yes. And I send more, and he goes, princess. And I send more, and he goes, what?
Why am I so not surprised?
I've been doing this for years. I can't believe I didn't ever show you.
These predators, right, sell these perfect submissive packages. Take this training and I'll turn you into the perfect submissive. What the fuck does perfect submissive mean? Who gets to decide what's perfect?
But more?
Who gets to decide what traits you need to be perfect? I mean, like, for instance, let's just take brats, for example. There are a lot of dominants who don't want brats. So anybody who would be what they consider bratty would not be perfect. I don't mind a brat. I don't want somebody who's going to say, make me, because I ain't making you. I don't got time for that shit in my life. But if you want to be sarcastic and sassy, please do. If you can make me laugh, better for you. But it gives me an excuse to be even brattier than I normally am. So I enjoy all that. And then it shames the submissives into obedience, right? If you don't finish my training, if you don't do what I teach you in my training, you'll never be real. You'll never find a dominant. You know, so if you see somebody selling you this dream of being the perfect submissive or a real submissive, ask yourself, who is that really benefiting? Is that really benefiting me or their wallet? So, like, why does this model keep sticking around, even though it clearly is hurting people?
Because people fall for it.
Right? So to answer that, we kind of have to look at where the idea comes from and why it's so appealing to both dominance and submissive. So first of all, you've got this media influence. Fiction definitely romanticizes one-way training. And that's why I'm so heavily involved with smut lovers and teaching. One of my favorite things when I teach a class of smut lovers is when somebody comes up to me afterward and tells me I changed their mind, that they thought it was this, and now they realize how much more nuanced it is and how much more four-dimensional, is that the right word? Math is hard, but I haven't had all my coffee yet. This is. Then of course,
can't even math with coffee.
Thank you. Then you've got your porn, right, which portrays subs as these blank slates to be molded into just the way. It appeals to people who want the shortcut, right? Subs want the clarity and the doms want authority. And the training looks like this easy path to being legitimate, right? There's certain professions you need to be trained in to be legitimate. Kinksters are not one of them. And then, of course, you've got these community myths that all subs must be trained, or doms always know best. And now you've got these trainers which are wearing this badge of being a trainer as pride and selling programs that just reinforces this illusion of expertise. And I got to ask then, how much of your view of training really is coming from talking to actual kinksters or having lived experiences, right? Like, I would love to get trained in doing piercings. That is a fucking hell of a lot different than being trained as a submissive. There are much healthier, thankfully, and safer and more empowering alternatives to this very outdated model of dominant-led training. And they will work together to build lasting, fulfilling dynamics. So here's some of the healthy alternatives. Number one is obviously collaborative learning. Shared growth. Take classes together, the dom and the sub. Negotiate more rituals and protocols, right? Some of my best experiences have been learning things side by side with my partner in crime, like, right, my needles and my growth in needles was done with Naughty and Nice by my side, working together. Make sure that the person owns that educator role. If you guide others, you are an educator. And ethical educators are transparent and accountable. Ethical educators are also taking classes to continue their education so that they are learning and growing. First of all, because, again, the way I do things and the way Dara does things are different. So why wouldn't I take a class and learn from? And it may not be the way that I might learn about those ways and go, okay, that's fine. That's not for me. But when I teach, I'm not going to teach just my way. I'm going to offer a wide variety of ways to do things and tell people do it the way that works for you and your dynamic and your wants and needs.
Not to mention, when you teach, you also get input from the audience members who have different experiences, and those are always fascinating to hear about and learn about. And then you can incorporate them into your next teaching session, your next lesson.
Ding, 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 ding. Every time I teach a class, I update my notes because of the things that
killer stuff.
Because of the stuff I've learned from the people who took my class.
Yeah, no, I got some absolutely killer stuff the other day from the class I taught, the advanced electro with the different predicament things. There were some good ideas flowing through that chat.
And as an educator, stay open to correction because people's actual safety depends upon it. So if you have an educator who is not open to being corrected, I don't know how much of a bigger red flag you can have. Because remember, what we're doing is risky. Absolutely everything we do is risky. And if somebody who is coaching, training, or actually admits to being an educator isn't willing to learn other ways of doing things and safer ways of doing things, like somebody could really get hurt mentally, emotionally, physically. And we don't want that to happen to anybody. Community safeguards, right? Vet your educators. We say it a lot. I'm sorry, you've probably heard us say it 1,000 times. Get ready. You're going to hear it 1,000 more. Vet your fucking educators. I actually have an entire pinned post on TikTok where I go over my qualifications and invite people. You want to know about me? Reach out. I'll give you names of people. I mean, not Voldemort's because he'll have absolutely nothing nice to say to me, but all he can speak to. Even when I first started talking about Voldemort, I only talked about him as a partner, not about him as a party host, because I was telling you,
that's a whole different category.
Because at the time he wasn't a problematic party host. He is now, but at the time he just was a problematic partner. But yeah, I will tell you who I've taught for. I will give you names of people who've taken my classes that are not necessarily my friends that you might worry I'm giving you just good things. Look for an educator who has humility, who admits they don't know everything. Look for one who is accountable and one who is open. Avoid red flags like blocking critique or refusing correction or shaming. You know, ask yourself, what skills do you want to grow for yourself, not just skills to please someone else? And I'm talking about general training, like hiring a training service. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying to your dominant, what skills would you like for me to have that would please you? Now, you can look at that list of skills and think, I'll do A, B, and C, but I'm sorry, D, E, and F fall outside my limits and boundaries. But that's what the training should be. Training should not be done by a generic, quote unquote, dominant, but by your dominant, the person who you're going to establish a dynamic with, because you want to be trained in the way that works best for that particular dynamic. Now, look, I'll be honest. I don't like the word training. And if I had a submissive, I would not, quote unquote, train them. That bothers me. Dara, I'm assuming you're fine with that because that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, so if we're doing a high protocol thing, then yes. But I've also done anal training with a submissive before. So it depends on the word and how the context and what you're doing with it.
Yeah. But again, every dominant is different. I have no problem teaching my submissive, and I have no problem, working with my submissive to create the dynamic that works best for both of us, and sharing my wants and needs as the dominant. Like I talk about, I need a submissive who's going to share their schedule with me, because as I joke, I'm a Jewish mother, folks. I need to know where they are at all times to make sure they are safe and okay. Right? That's the mama bear side of me. It's not for me to tell you you can or can't go there. And it's not for me to, I'm not going to put, what is it on the phone? Life 360 or whatever it's called. Yeah. I don't need that. I want you to just tell me, hey, this is what's going to happen. I don't need you. Like if you tell me you're going to be home all day working, I don't need the text going, hey, I'm running out to the grocery store and I'm running right back. Like I don't need that level of knowledge. It just makes me feel better to know where you are and that you are safe.
Well, listen, I call Daddy J every day on the way home from work, and he texts me when he's on his way home from work because, let's face it, driving is dangerous.
In our area, it sure as hell is.
Exactly. So we are careful. And so if you're not home at a reasonable time, I could say, hey, I'm not coming directly home. I'm going to the store. Don't expect me to be home in 15 minutes. It's going to be more like 45.
Though, honestly, where we live, you could say 45 and it'll be more like an hour.
Yeah.
It's a guesstimate of how long things will be. Though, okay, I need to know, do you do this? I do this. However long GPS says it's going to take me, the challenge is to take less. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why I look at that and go, challenge accepted. Let's see if I can beat that time. And I will sit there and I will literally go, damn, it's 2 minutes longer than it was. I did this when Naughty and I drove to Pennsylvania for Naughty Knowledge. I was driving her nuts because I kept saying, damn, it's added 4 minutes. Oh, good. We're back under. Now we're back. It took away those 4 minutes. We're under 2 now. Like, really?
Yeah.
Is that just me? Or is that just me? Or do other people do this?
No, I do it too, but like, you're still nuts.
Well, yeah, they're two separate categories. I admit freely to my nuttiness. But like, let's just kind of wrap it all up. Dar's not even giving me the finger yet, but I know. I've been watching the clock, so I know. It's coming.
To.
Yes, the finger is coming.
Look, there it is.
There it is. Okay. Dominant-led training often strips agency and spreads information. And so the minute somebody says that's what they offer, I kind of want you to look at them a little side-eyed. You have my permission to do so. If somebody says they're coaching is education. You can't sell guidance to somebody and then not take responsibility for it under the guise, well, I'm not actually an educator. Submissives deserve empowerment, not indoctrination. These trainings should be educational, and these trainings should empower you with this education, right? So if you take nothing else away from this whole episode, hear this. You don't need to be trained to be worthy. You are already enough. You might not be the right person for one dominant, but you'll be the right person for another one. And you don't need to have these coaching, these training to become the right kind of submissive. Education should be building you up and not breaking you down. And I worry that these trainings are not doing that. They're knocking you down versus building you up. And remember that healthy kink is about collaboration, accountability, and mutual growth. That's why you work with your dominant to learn. Right? Don't fall for this smoke and mirrors that these people are selling you for a lot of money. There are much better uses of your money and your time. Protect your energy, protect your heart, and remember, you deserve honesty. And these people are not being honest. The minute they start saying, I'm a coach, not an educator, they're lying to you. And it just doesn't get better from there. Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to help us keep creating, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast. You can also support our affiliates to benefit small businesses and us
at the same time.
No extra cash? No problem. You can still help by spreading the word about your favorite kinky podcast. Share us with your friends, and don't forget to rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Those 5-star reviews mean the world to us, and those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcast through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our link tree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pink
and level up your kink knowledge.